The Conquest lineups have not really been built to target things that often. That's why I was such a fan of Possessi. I feel like that's a lineup that finally reached the Conquest theory, at least for this stage in the meta. Obviously, TIZS has a different understanding on how the matchups work, to at least how I perceive them, and we'll see if it works.
Shall bring victory.
We shall see indeed. Face Hunter right out of the gate, and a matchup that we played, actually, I think exactly role-playing this one with Alan versus TIZS in the Priest versus the Hunter, because I was saying that based on my ladder stats of that dark week where I was playing Priest in order to try and up my experience with the deck, I didn't feel in a good spot against Face Hunter. I thought that they had not only the damage to face, which was a little bit scary, but also the ability to make boards that were really tough for the Priest to answer.
First of all, I want to say I'm glad it was no more than a week that you decided to play this deck. Otherwise, I would have lost even more respect for you there. No, just kidding. Priest is definitely, you know, it has its spot in the meta. Definitely more popular in other regions than it is in APAC. But I will say that TIZZ's list is one that I'm not a big fan of, at least for facing up against aggro. It feels like you're almost entirely reliant on Wild Pyromancer with no room for Penances and Holy Smite and single target.
Yeah, and that does, I think, feed into why we're seeing the Pyromancer being kept here. I really like that decision from TIZS, because that has consistently been the way to clear the board. Not only in terms of AoE, it's like the only reactive ability you have in the deck, because like you said, no Pyro, no Penance, no Breath of the Infinite, no Holy Nova. There's no way to fight back in the early game unless you hit Pyromancer or something off of Renew, or of course, proactively develop onto the board. I'm a little bit critical of the Cleric of Scales being kept here. It's obviously pretty good if you can find a dragon, but without it, and there aren't that many in the deck, it feels awful.
Right, it certainly feels like a bait of a keep, because obviously one drops against aggro sounds like the dream, but Cleric of Scales trades with nothing except half a Wolpertinger, which most of the time Hunter is not even going to play that early on, which is why we're seeing TIZS go for the Wandmaker instead here, try and challenge the Intrepid Initiate before something like Eagle Hornbow can come down to trade it off. And I think TIZS is right to go for this, although it's super painful to lose the coin for both his left-hand cards, which really would have wanted to act.
I feel like for TIZS, this is the play that keeps him in the game, even at this point, because being able to get ahead on board, he knows that on turn 2, Alan doesn't really want to play spells. Like, all the secrets feel a bit bad. Outside of Scavenger's Ingenuity, he wants to play the Felmore here. He wants to play Phase Stalker here. And that's massively punished by TIZZ's line. I think it's a very smart development.
And I like that he follows it up with the Pyro. And when I said that Pyro is your best answer to aggro, I didn't mean playing it as a Bloodfen Raptor. But in this specific instance, it's backbreaking for Alan. He just has not picked up anything reactive enough, and his initial Intrepid Initiate not having gotten a buff is so huge because he spent the turn developing this Felmaw.
Yeah, the turn here is tough as well, because this was my first instinct to just get the Freezing Trap down and try and make it a little bit more awkward for your opponent. But Voracious Reader there was also worth considering, just to take a card draw and try and find yourself Dragonbane for the next turn with the 0-mana hero power.
Very true. For the secret package of Alan, there is double Freezing Trap, 1 Pack Tactics, and 1 Pressure Plate. So TIZS is just going to test first, get the most likely outcome. Now we can see Renew just to proc the 1/1 and then hero power your Pyro.
That's obviously my first instinct. At second glance though, I'm wondering if you trade the Pyro into the 1/1 heal and then play Cleric, just in order to get more bodies on board to distract this Felmore.
I mean, that's a very real thing, and also just guaranteed saving yourself a 1-cost spell in hand for the turn after with the Cabal Acolyte and 1-cost spell. Obviously, he still picked up a cheap one to activate it, but that was not guaranteed.
Doesn't necessarily work out, but I love this line from TIZS where he plays out the 1/1 instead of going for the hero power on the Pyromancer. I think this is very heads up.
Oh man, this does not work out cleanly for Alan. At this point, it's bad to have the one generated in hand because he just wants more space to draw with Voracious Reader.
Yeah, he
just plays everything but the tour guide though.
It's time to call in the adorable fumigators because you don't want this infestation.
Everything sucks because the pyro is left on board.
TIZS has made this just a nightmare.
You have to read this one.
Quickly. Like he's gonna go tour guide instead of the Marsual Cub.
You here for the tour?
Yeah, I'm okay with this. Trying to find Dragonbane, I guess Phase Stalker. Obviously, Lawkeeper Polkel is the card against Priest.
Okay. He can technically guarantee that he steals the Voracious Reader, but it involves some very ugly tricks.
Well, you could go face, right? Because you have Pyromancer in play. You have to then damage...
True.
Wow, really? Whoa, okay. This is smart.
Full board here instead. I mean, this obviously prevents the most immediate damage, but I feel like the other line just puts him farther ahead on board.
I don't know how much it's worth, but this line gives him a very strong play around Dragonbane specifically, whereas if he'd gone with the Cabal plus Lazul scheme, he wouldn't have been able to steal it on the following turn. The more I look at it, the more... Yeah, exactly. I actually like this line from TIZS. I think it gives him strong follow-up against any big individual threat from Alan, which is generally what you struggle against as this Priest deck, not having strong single-target removal.
Fair point. I think my concern was just having only one minion develop on board in the case of second freezing trap, but because he'd already seen one, and we were probably more likely to see single big threat there, I also see the point behind your line.
It's definitely not over yet, though. Alan has pieced together, although not much board control, very potentially enough damage to close out the game, unless TIZS can make the powerful plays he needs to lock down this board.
When we were doing this matchup and testing, it often felt like the way that Hunter corners the Priest is by isolating one minion, and they have Freezing Trap or Pressure Plate online, so that even if they have Apotheosis, they're not able to get the lifesteal. All of these are far too expensive for my liking. Probably just Deathwing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really matters little there. I would also have gone with Deathwing just because it maybe does something. All the others you're just never playing. Fairy Dragon, though.
Is
playable on this turn, right?
While playable next turn, so would the Alexstrasza have been interested in going for it. So
yeah.
Fairy Dragon definitely makes
close, but it's not quite there yet.
It's not a beast! Why is it not a beast? Oh. Probably the worst outcome as well.
Yeah. It's rapidly ending here. Obviously an Apotheosis would instantly end the game for TIZS. But even then, I think just the hero power, the Galakron... Oh! There we go.
I think it was right for Alan to hold his weapon charge there. I think from him, he had to hope for the obviously very optimistic, but only out of his not having a taunt minion. So he gets 2 swings with the Eagle Horn through, given that TIZS is likely to activate the secret this turn, and then close out with Kill Command. But obviously, all hope is lost.
I mean, this is just a mega clean, right? You trade into there, you go Cabal Acolyte, Apotheosis, you steal, you heal for 5, you have a taunt in play. There is nothing your opponent can do. Alan just didn't have enough of a start in the early game to get there. And this, for me, is kind of the point I wanted to bring up, because I fully agree with you. I was not a fan of TIZS's build of Priest in testing, But to be generous to him, maybe we were playing it wrong. I felt like that was an incredibly high-level played game of Priest there that did play specifically to his style of the deck, where it didn't have many of those removal cards in the early game. He still probably would have been in a better spot if he had had them there. But the point is, I think he, with his playstyle, put himself in a good spot even with this version of the deck.
Yeah, I think it's very fair to say that, especially since in the Mulligan, we were criticizing keeping Cleric of Scales, and he didn't end up playing it on one, but that's because he drew the Wand Maker after the Mulligan hand. So that made the curve coin 2 into 2 and then figure it out from there. Very possibly, TIZS was just anticipating Cleric as a 1-mana 1/1, better than nothing. Just play it on board and then curve into Pyro. Sometimes you get to clean up with the coin. Let's say the 1/1 Cleric damaged an Intrepid Initiate or something like that. And it doesn't feel like the strongest way to build Priest, but if he's able to pilot the deck to still win matchups like that while retaining cards you would rather have for other matchups, then very possibly we just underestimated the build in testing.
Very possibly. Strong window there for TIZS, of course, as I think the Priest arguably could have suffered. You know, he's not running any weapon removal, so against the Bomb Warrior and the Demon Hunter, it's possible that it could have struggled a little bit there. But it's through now, out of the way, which means he is left with with the Demon Hunter banned out of the way, the Mage and the Druid, which I think feel like they're in pretty reasonable spots. The Mage, definitely the weak point for me, and that is going to be the win he has to hit if he wants to take the win in the series.
I would agree. I think TIZS Druid has 2 out of 3 good matchups, and Face Hunter is not even that terrible, although I would put it slightly in favor of the Face Hunter if they mulligan for the Imprisoned Felmos and the Scavenger's Ingenuity. Those 2 are the backbreaking cards for Druid. I really feel like Alan's best chance, though, is to try and bully this Mage from TIZS. So I want to take a look at TIZS's particular build of the Mage because we've had the discussion on dragons or no dragons, and TIZS is going for the build that I prefer, no dragons, but he does have double AI in place of the 1 devolving missiles that I usually see run.
Yeah, it's a bit of a greedy build, which, you know, we can argue about whether or not that's good here. Against the Bomb Warrior, I think probably yes, you would rather have double AI because it allows you to consistently draw through to the Mana Giants, Conjurer's Calling, Jandis, or the actual meat of the deck. Against Demon Hunter, I think it's a little bit more questionable because you do have to be reactive to an extent. You know, if they get a 5/5 onto the board, just having that answer to it in the early game is very, very powerful. And then pretty undeniably against the Face Hunter, you'd rather have the devolving missiles. But even having said that, you know, while we can say TIZS is in a bad spot, he has, I think, shown himself to be, despite a very quiet player in Grandmasters, we don't see anything from him on social media, really hadn't heard all too much about him before he got his spot in Grandmasters due to his success in the Masters Tours. I think he's just kind of chugging along, playing some very strong Hearthstone here, carving a name for himself in APAC GM.
Yeah, APAC definitely not a region known for having the most talkative players. Obviously, language barrier has some factor to play in that, but yeah, a lot of our players are very reserved in the interviews, and I think TIZS prefers to let his play speak for itself. Starting off with the matchup that I put slightly favored for the Face Hunter, but obviously Druid can do Druid things. This opener for Alan already looks a lot better than last time.
Yeah, looking really nice. Phase Stalker right up at the top of Mulligan win rates in pretty much every archetype. I think still to the point where you're keeping it against Druid, but it is worth saying that the secrets are not really what you're looking for against Druid. I think if you could choose your hand, you would rather be finding Scavenger's Ingenuity to get the Volpatingers and Imprisoned Felmor, just have some real punch.
Yeah, I would say early on, I don't like the idea of Phase Stalker into Hero Power as a curve, because Druid's not going to play anything in most cases that early on, but Freezing Trap timed correctly can be very backbreaking for Druid. I will say that. In the end, still gonna point it out just because it's the most threat on board immediately, and because this is, not available yet for Bog Beam on the mana, it's very likely to stick.
Oh, that's an interesting top deck.
Oh, yeah.
It's playable right now, obviously, But what happens when your opponent presses the hero power next turn and you're facing a secret? You're never going to attack then, right? It's way too scary.
Yeah. The fact that he has Gidra makes this a little bit interesting, but the Gidra is not playable next turn if he goes Lightning Bloom for the Twilight Runner. Because there's a world where you go Twilight Runner, and even if they press the button, you just pass. And then the next turn you play Gidra.
True.
That activates their freezing trap, then you get a hit with the runner.
Oh, I didn't think of that. That's pretty interesting, actually.
And, you know, this way is technically the most mana efficiency to get that plan online. So I kind of like it from TIZS.
I think I do too. Obviously, half the time it's freezing trap here if he pushes the hero power, because there's 2 freezing traps, one pack tactics and one pressure plate.
From TIZZ's perspective,
yes,
but
yes,
I was
of
just
course.
talked at. Yeah. Well, if you play it out, they know it's freezing trap. Yeah, Alan not willing to take the risk here.
And
bad, man.
Yes, as TIZZ, you can make a hard read on freezing trap because it's the secret here. If you didn't have it in hand, you'd press the hero power to get it instead.
Oh, it's just... Alan's hand just does not synergize well with itself. Because you want to get the value out of the Phase Stalker while it's available, but you also want to empty your hand for Voracious Reader. I'm still leaning towards pushing the button.
Same. I think you want to just milk the value while you can. Like, you can take it a little bit slow here. You know, this is not a deck that has to go 100% win by turn 5 or the game is over.
Just a question of which one drop to go for. Obviously, I don't think Alan is accounting for the Gidra, proc the freezing trap, but it's a huge deal here. Didn't catch if he played Pack Tactics or not, but also very relevant.
True.
Looks like it's a pressure plate, so that's the worst outcome for Alan. Least board development.
And things ramping up pretty juicily here for TIZZ. Overgrowth, Guardian Animals, Mount Seller to follow afterwards. Coming together.
Yeah, Alan needs a bit more pressure than this.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Minions on the board.
Dump everything. They don't play swipe.
Nothing but a bunch of big bears!
And while this does seem like an overgrowth turn, he's just facing down 9 on the opposite side.
So Gidra? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
I mean...
it's just a
I'm
sad
just saying
overgrowth?
It's scary. Yeah.
Okay. Agreed.
He still needs Guardian Animals to make a relevant difference in this board, because if you want Gidra or Thresher, it just gets traded down and then your next turn is equally slow while you took incremental damage in the meantime.
Still one Pack Tactics in the deck, right? So it looks like a pretty... one freezing trap as well, sorry. Oh no, sorry, the Phase Stalker's dead anyway.
It's just a question of whether he wants to cash in the kill command or fit in a push of the button.
And I think just take a push of the button here. You want to squeeze in that damage.
Yeah. With a board this wide, you're almost certainly going to have a beast still for the next turn.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what the optimal positioning is for Threshers.
I like Kolek on the far left though. Just like the 2 most valuable minions on the far left and right, I think just makes it as difficult as possible to clear off both.
Priority is also sticking a beast for the kill command. But big deal that TIZZ picks up Iron Bark on top of...
Whoa!
Oh! Oh! It can't taunt and have stealth.
Yes, that's kind of bad, kind of good. You're taking off a lot of the damage here.
Yeah.
But even then, for Alan, with his play of just going as wide as possible on the board, still a beast in play, still able to target the hero power into a minion, it's oh so close to lethal now. But not quite.
Oh, but the kill command is so awkward. Plus, he doesn't have any secrets left in the deck, right?
One freezing?
Oh yeah, sorry, there's 1 freezing left, so we could see... Oh man, if this only weren't stealth, I like the idea of like isolating the Thresher. Well, then again, you know the Gidra's in hand. You probably just have to suck it up and kill command this.
I wonder.
Because there's no way he can snipe it with freezing trap, right?
Do you ever go pack tactics Polkel? Nah, you have to clear it or your entire board gets wiped. I was thinking like you can guarantee yourself a draw of Dragonbane next turn to try and just press the hero power to go lethal, but this is probably safer.
Maintains the Voracious for another draw. Eagle Horn is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
TIZS has Overflow. He knows that that is not pressure plate at this point. The only one has been played. So between freezing and pack tactics.
That's a pretty good draw.
Oh, more healing. I think this is home free.
It's looking that way. I agree it looks like that, but I don't want to call it over quite yet. There's no taunt in hand at the moment. Polkel can get Dragonbane. There's still just a lot of damage coming through.
Okay.
It's possible for Alan to get there, I think.
Oh, I was thinking he would hold on to this Crystal Power for a Mount Seller turn next turn, but he's cashing in all of the spells.
Mount Seller Germination.
I like this line.
You wanted to see it saved. I mean, yeah, I can see that.
I don't think he was dying from 15.
Yeah.
Could have fit in a hero power and just popped off more with the Mount Seller the next turn. Because obviously he's still scared of freezing trap, so I don't think he'll be attacking with the stealth minion. So more minions equals better in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you just don't attack because it's freezing trap or it's pack tactics, both of which are just bad.
Scavengers guaranteed picks up the other Wolpertinger now.
Which is pretty clean. With Polkel on this turn, you have to not press the button.
But you really want to go for the bow. Oh my goodness. This is tough.
That's true. But then you're not pressing the hero power and floating a mana. Polkel bow? Is that ever the play instead? Doesn't feel like it.
On second glance, it feels like TIZS healed up so much that the bow doesn't necessarily have to come down this turn.
You just want to develop board.
Yeah, I think I like tactics, Wolpertinger, Polkel.
Agreed. That's the line I was looking at most, first of all.
The Face Stalker fits in the hero power, but has no more secrets to benefit. Oh wait, sorry, the one freezing.
One freezing, which is something. It's a bad draw taken out of the way. Oh.
Okay. Oh wait, now the Mount Seller Germination's insane.
Germination. It's ridiculous.
What? Surely you germinate first. Because of the nature studies discount. Yeah. Okay. Alright, well, because he picked up a zero-cost spell, then this line is insane, but this turn was super awkward if you didn't get that.
Yeah, you can freeze that back to hand and then just kill off whatever comes with the pack tactics that you know it to be.
Oh my gosh. Move over, Omu. Mount Seller is the new germination target. Alan's just dead.
Okay. He is just dead on the following turn, but he does not necessarily know that. And he can full trade into a Mount Seller here, right?
Oh, sorry, I didn't even mean on the next turn. I just think Alan has zero out.
Oh, he's just dead, right? Okay.
You just can't deal enough damage face before it is developed.
Yeah. I think that's end of the line. Man, rough couple of games here.
Yeah. I thought Alan's hand looked good for this run.
Yeah.
But the early Twilight Runner into Gidra made all the difference.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about the line of what you did in the early game, because generally speaking, Coin Phase Stalker hero power is a super powerful line for the Hunter deck to make. You're getting secrets out, you're fighting for board, getting a lot of damage to face. But is that the case against Druid? It was not a high damage start to the game at all for Alan.
So you mean mulligan harder for the Felmos and the Ingenuity? Because that's a very fair line. Those two cards have the highest, or some of the highest win rate against Druid.
Yeah, I'm not even saying don't keep Phase Stalker. I'm just saying, is it necessarily the line of coin Phase Stalker into hero power instead when you have cards like coin Polkel, coin Dragonbane? Even just the coin used later on can fit in something extra. Not even saying it's wrong, just saying it's something to consider here for Alan. It's a very complicated deck to play in the early game, despite it being super aggressive.
I love how we just talked over TIZ's entire turn.
Oh yeah, well.
He did end up taking the 100% line, which is if you heal and generate another minion, you absolutely never lose there. But yeah, it wasn't an auto overflow because you overdrew, but I think he's quickly spotted that there is actually just no way he loses if he heals there.
Yep, you click the win the game button, I think, in that instance pretty cleanly. And it does mean that we've got the Druid out of the way, the Priest out of the way. It's the hardest left till the last here for TIZS. That Mage. Bad matchup against Hunter. Bad matchup against Demon Hunter. Not a great matchup against Bomb Warrior either. 3 matchups you definitely don't want to be facing here. But it's got to be said, if you are 2-0 up, you have to be monstrously unfavored in every single one of your remaining matchups to not be likely to take the win. It's still super likely that TIZS comes away the victor here.
And it already feels like we may have been overhyping Face Hunter because I felt like it was in a decently to slightly favored spot in both of the matchups we've seen so far, yet it has lost by a huge margin. I want to say that the Druid opener was an outlier with the early minion into a way to activate Freezing Trap, but against Tempo Mage, I feel like it's even more realistic for them to come up with ways to pick apart the early aggression.
I agree. You're very likely to be able to lock down board in the early game as Mage, but, you know, this is such an aggressive deck in the Face Hunter that it's worth differentiating what you even mean by the early game, because by turn 3 or 4, yeah, you probably will have been able to lock down the board as Mage if you get any kind of a decent hand. But that damage that you've taken on turns 1, 2, and maybe 3, that can just wipe you out already.
That is very true. Mage doesn't have ways of healing the way that Druid does, and Priest, for that matter. But the opener from TIZS is insane.
Absolutely disgusting.
I'm not even sure how Sharpshooter, I think.
Yep. I also just like Sharpshooter.
I would imagine after TIZS sees the Dwarven on 1 that he could just go coin double 1-drops in response to that. Because you're always going to have Apprentice with free missiles the next turn, whether you trade it or Alan does.
Ah, so you want to go Tempo Apprentice on 2 with the missiles. Okay. I don't hate that line.
Because if you stick Apprentice and they have no board, the only ways they deal with it are Eaglehorn Bow or second Dwarven Hero Power, which is not something they want to do, and then you very likely stick Wandmaker.
Or Kill Command as well. You know, there are a few things that can answer, or Refa. It's not an easy stick, but I still think it's very much something you consider going for.
The other line is... I mean, I was thinking just Lab Partner, but then this kind of makes trade Hero Power clean for Hunter. And I just wanted to see the Spellwing get on board immediately so you can get the free missiles immediately.
I think the thing to remember, though, is something that I always forget when playing this matchup, or any matchup against Face Hunter, is they don't want to hero power on turns 2 and then turns 3. They want to spend their mana on their early game cards. So I think even just going for Wandmaker next turn is probably okay. This is an outlier because he got the Tour Guide and the Kolek in order to massively dominate this board. But on average, I think this line from TIZS was okay because you don't expect hero power into hero power.
I agree with okay, but my problem is the Spellwing is going to be stranded for a very long time before you get the missiles in hand. The turn you play it, Hunter doesn't necessarily even kill it for you. They maybe even isolate it with Freezing Trap. And I think the missiles was his best ticket to locking down the early board.
Well, he can continue to take it slow for a little while here. Next turn... Okay, I was going to say next turn can be Wandmaker Spellwing. That is taking a little bit too much damage at that point. That is when the matchup gets very scary indeed. Ooh.
I mean, now I want to save coin because you have Raz.
I mean, I'm not looking at Raz here. I'm looking at Elemental Allies into Spellwing, into second Spellwing, plus Apprentice on the next turn. Yeah.
Okay, but now it's too late to do that unless he wants to use the coin, which is still valid because if you just expect a bunch of one-cost spells, then you don't need to coin anything else anyway with Apprentice.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking Evocation or Bust, really, at that point, is what we were looking for with the Apprentice.
And there's another line now of try to hit Lab Partner, because you can, with the Primordial Studies, you could potentially coin Raz Lab Partner and clear everything the next turn. There was just so many lines.
So many lines.
Now we're seeing the Spellwing coined out, essentially for the same amount of tempo you would have gotten for it on turn 1.
Yeah, I think the real difference here is that it should have just been Spellwing instead of Lab Partner on 1 mana. I know that the Dwarven Sharpshooter can just trade in, but getting those missiles, even just going Lab Partner missiles on turn 2 is fine as a response most of the time.
Yeah. Like, if you coin double 1-drop, it's unlikely that the Face Hunter on 2 mana can clear both your Lab Partner and the Violet.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so interesting, though.
For Alan, Scavengers, pretty clean no matter what result you get, but I'm very interested in trying to Freezing Trap the Spellwing.
Exactly, yeah. Hero Power Freezing Trap.
The Giga Slow line, yeah, of just Hero Power Freezing Trap. He's seen coins, so Raz isn't that scary either.
You're just winning as it currently stands. This damage phase, you don't have to develop anything. I really like it.
I love this. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. Outs for TIZS. Did do the side quest, so we're committed now.
100%.
Invocation into Arcane Explosion. Deal.
Oh no! No, no, no!
All the studies in the world.
Okay, so he can go Apprentice, Primordial Studies, Primordial Studies, Primordial Studies. Something is playable at that point, and then you go Cram Session into Evocation and hit like...
Okay. Yeah.
You know, go
Evocation. You sold me.
Yeah, and then you get like Mirror Image, Frost Novas, Ray of Frost. I don't even know. You need a miracle.
He just has
here.
to go.
Yes, 100%.
Yes, I agree. Okay. Okay. Both of them are playable.
You can play another one if he wants to here as well. Draw more cards, correct? Very nice play.
Evocation.
Go, 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 go! Magic Trick! That might do!
Trick?
Job done.
No!
No, that's not enough. Alan has 9 on board. Eagle Horn plus Hero Power is 14, 2 off. But you just put the Mage to 2. You never lose, right? They can't... Ice Barrier doesn't protect you from Hero Power, so you're only scared of counter lethal, which seems highly unlikely.
That's the kicker. It's the one fear is it possible for them to get Giant and Conjurer's Calling on the same turn and get Walking Fountain? Like, that's it. And I think even then, even if that was technically possible, which I don't even think it is, you don't play to that out.
Right. It is the one tiny fear, but it's highly unlikely to happen, and that is going to be game.
Can have a card if he wants with the Trade Thalnos.
Okay. Could be a very flashy Raz in the game.
He just throws it down though. Even if there was some super fringe possibility of like Evocation plus Giant and then you get the Conjurer's Calling, I'm not even sure that was possible in the fringest of fringe outs. He throws it down. Finally, the Hunter getting the win, and definitely against the deck that we thought it would be most likely to. It could be the start of the end for TIZS. He's still 2-1 up, still favored to win, but he's got 2 bad matchups left to overcome.
Yep, and I really don't want to beat a dead horse, but I was so committed to the double one-drop plan. I mean, you quickly reined me in by saying there are many ways to kill the apprentice that I didn't think of, but all of them involve like giving back initiative to the mage after they spend the turn removing apprentice, outside of exactly Eagle Hornbow, which still doesn't develop a minion on board. I think that would have given TIZS a much better spot, especially seeing the turn when the Violet Spellwing got played out anyway, where it was hardly impactful at all.
Right, exactly. And my point is that even if it wasn't coin double one drop, if he just played the Spellwing, I think even that would have been better, even though it's a much weaker play immediately onto the board. Because with an Apprentice in hand, with a Lab Partner in hand, almost more importantly, Arcane Missiles is a super valuable card. That equals board control, even if you're developing a weaker minion at first. Yeah, that did feel like, in my opinion, the kind of first instance of a little bit of a misstep from TIZS in terms of understanding the matchup. A little bit too slow of an approach there with the Apprentice in hand, but it's not over yet. Demon Hunter and Warrior, both of which are good matchups up against the Mage. But I think even with all the hysteria that is surrounding Mage against Demon Hunter in APAC, with crazy good hands being thrown away, I don't think it's that bad of a matchup for the Mage. I think you're definitely unfavored, but I would be hesitant to call it any more than like 60% for the Demon Hunter if I'm being generous.
For sure, I agree. Mage has ways of generating Frostbolts or even Deep Freeze if you get that late into the game, which can absolutely lock out the Demon Hunter's win condition. And of course, there is still game plan A of turbo out the Mana Giants and don't even give the Demon Hunter time to beat you down. I will note, though, that Alan's Demon Hunter list is a hybrid where it has the Battle Fiends, but it also has Magtheridon and has also found room for Lore Keeper Polkelt. And he's cut the Glaive-bound Adepts for this to be possible. So overall damage output potential just from hand is limited, which is a big deal if you're, thinking about trying to go over the top of ice barriers. But early Battle Fiends can make a huge difference as well.
They can, but this for me feels like the kind of signature, slightly old-fashioned build of the deck for Alan. Like, everyone's moved away from Polkel. I know there was a lot of discussion at the time when it was more popular about whether or not it was good, but it was quite consistently, I think, down at the bottom of played win rates, or even drawn win rates for that matter. I know I might be fudging my stats here slightly, but I think the point is the stats did not back the card, even with the obvious power of guaranteeing yourself Sociologist and Skull.
When I was watching Demon Hunter games for Mullet Over, I will say that Saiyan had Polkelt last week, whereas nearly everybody else did not have it. And even then, his list was with the double spectral sights as well. So it kind of made sense to run those cards together because you're kind of going for more of an activate Magtheridon game plan as a militia on time. But I'm very unsure of it with a Battle Fiend list. It just feels like a little bit in either direction.
Right out the gate here, I think it is, you do want to find the power turns and the power cards, like we were saying with early spell damage minions to occupy the board, Mana Giant, although probably not in your starting hand. I think here, though, the only card I'm considering keeping is Spellwing, and even then, I think I would maybe just throw it away.
I'm okay with keeping Spellwing, but I mean, this is a curve. And okay, he's got the studies now, so the cram session is very likely to be much better. But that full keep from TIZS was not something I was expecting whatsoever.
2 mana, draw 1 card on average?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. I'm not a fan.
Was that post mulligan? That feels like such a weird mulligan choice. If that was actually what he kept.
It was. I mean, I get the thinking, which is your early minions probably don't stick against Demon Hunter, and so he just wants to draw. And by the time he gets Apprentice, he would likely have a way to pop off with it. However, I feel like 2 mana draw 1 is too slow.
I agree
completely. Unless you get exactly the primordial studies, I guess.
I mean, I think 3 mana draw 2 is too slow a lot of the time as well. I want to curve out with minions here. I want to find One Maker, Solarian, any way to just get stuff on the board.
So funny. I want to get Alan's opinion on this, but then he's on the other side because he's one of the main proponents for not keeping Apprentice in this matchup.
Right.
And he says that he would rather have things to do in the early game, so that was a guaranteed turn 2, turn 3 curve, but it was very mediocre.
Well, I'm sure if we did ask Alan, he'd put it very eloquently, as he is one of the few players here who also doubles as a caster over in the Chinese region. He is a caster in quite a few of their tournaments there, just proving that he is all around simply the alpha male here. He can cast, he can play, and he's gorgeous as well. He's got it all. And he gets Demon Companion off of one maker. What a man!
Yeah, and he gets Refa.
Oh.
Truly does have it all.
I'm in love.
Okay, well, the game plan for TIZS of, you know, accumulating resources, playing it like it's old school Cyclone Mage, building up towards your Apprentice turn, has somewhat come together. And he does have Mana Giant for the payoff, but will it be too late?
He's still building up. This is a very combo-oriented game plan. You know, right from the start where he kept the card draw, not playing the arcane missiles here to clear the board, not Frostnovering, not apprenticing. He's building up to something spectacular. Will it be strong enough of a combo to win the game, though, is really the question.
I feel like he's a couple spells away from really popping off. But
Agreed.
Alan, actually on the last turn, I didn't talk about how he held on to the Eldrazi Warblades charge, even though he had Marrow Slicer for this turn. It's just really interesting. It looks like he's just committing to, because he has double Shatter Shard in hand, taking a turn here with that.
Yep. Everything else going face, trading only when absolutely necessary, but TIZS finds the card. The card. Go, go, go. It's time.
Yeah. You never paused to think here.
He's going to need all the time he can
this
get.
Is
We're
the
looking
good order, though.
Yep, exactly. Missiles afterwards, then the evocation. We're looking at double giant right here.
Oh my goodness. I said he was a couple spells away from truly popping off. This is a bunch of spells.
Okay, cheap.
Oh my god, the giants are free, aren't they?
Oh. You Ray of Frost your own guy because you don't care about that. Arcane Explosion, and then you can play both of them. Just play the AI. No, you can play both. You can play Spellbender and AI.
Secret and Explosion, and both the giants are free. That's insane! Oh my god!
Spellbender, you don't really care about Vaporize. You've already seen the Cane.
I'd rather play Bender. Maybe it protects your Apprentice from Soul Shear. I don't know. Alan's just never attacking face with a minion.
Oi.
Imagine. Oh, Blade Dance.
Blade Dance is a good draw. That's a very good draw.
But he doesn't have the mana to make everything work out, right? You needed...
Right.
Oh, wait.
So
it's Marrow Slicer, Spirit Jailer this turn. You tank a bunch into Shard Shatter, Hero Power, Blade Dance next turn in the other order.
yes, that has to be the line, right? Because otherwise the mana doesn't work out.
Yeah, the mana is very discreet. I mean, the weapon usage for Alan could have been a little bit different. Last turn, he went for Kayn instead of Marrow Slicer because he thought the Shard Shatters would be enough to deal with the board, which is very reasonable to think. I think it's super unlikely you see double Mana Giant come down this turn. But now, I think that's the only line. You can also say, instead of Spirit Jailer, just Hero Power Swing Face. So you also advance the other game plan of trying to kill TIZS. But I don't think that's happening in the next 2 turns, so I want to save those charges on this.
I think Alan's seeing the lines. This is how it has to be.
Okay, still swinging face.
Still works. The dream's still alive.
Just praying it's not counterspell.
Whoa!
AI?
Yep. I don't know if you're playing it this turn because you want to go Raz here, probably.
Yeah.
Like, their hand has to be extremely specific to be able to clear the board here.
What to do?
If you're thinking about the Blade Dance out then you would like to go wider.
So how do you do that?
Or maybe it's AI. If you can get two small minions, I think it probably justifies it. But against Alan's specific hand, where all the small minions get eaten up and then you blade dance anyway, TIZS cannot stop it.
Right, and you don't play around Shard Shatter plus Blade Dance.
Right.
I think you just go all in here on the damage. Absolutely correct if it is. The punish is there though, with exactly the combination of Shard Shatter, Blade Dance. Spellbender does not stop it.
That's pretty wild. Well, Alan can attack face first, testing for Vaporize. Now he knows it's still possibly counterspell, but he can never play around it, so he's still gonna go for it. And you can already see Alan's like, yeah, I know this is CS, I know you've won, but you haven't lost yet, Alan. You haven't.
Hold out hope. He's got the full board clear.
I'm so shocked. It's not CS? What could it be?
I live for the slight eyebrow raise from Alan. That's what makes this all worth it.
That was not slight. That was jumping off his forehead.
Oh man, I do not live for the despair on the other side for TIZS. This is a brutal way for things to shake out.
Yep, after you've lost both your giants. But Alan doesn't have any damage in hand. Technically, TIZS is ahead on board with this Ray of Frost.
Just ping, ping, ping over like 8 turns and it gets there?
I guess so. I was leaning towards getting rid of this 3-2 and possibly conjuring your 1-drop the next turn, depending on what the next draw was.
Oh, Conjurer's calling on a 1-drop. Honestly, I'd rather concede out of principle.
Oh, what does his hand do?
I don't know.
I feel like having 4 1-drops is a better chance of setting up lethal than ping, 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 ping. Oh. Okay. Evocation. Fireball is lethal.
Oh. No!
Okay, now you just try to hit a taunt off of your 2-drop, I assume, and then freeze the battlefield?
Yes. Lightwell? No, that's the start of your turn, not the end.
Yeah.
No.
I was interested in the secret guy, but you don't have a secret. Yep. Alan gets over the line.
Oh my god. He knows it as well. He knows the secret has to be Spellbender. Sends it all to face. It was such a close game and such an interesting one for TIZS as well. You know, we were sat there talking about his mulligan position at the start to hold on to the card draw. And while with respect to the cram session specifically, I have serious doubts, he was playing to this style of a hand where you draw through your deck, get to the big combos, throw down these giants rather than the style of game plan we've seen Alan champion of just going tempo, play out your spell damage minions, try and draw with cram session that way. It was a weird approach, and it so nearly worked out for him. It had to be exactly those 2 cards for Alan to be in the game.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. It was such a roundabout approach to get to what we call game plan A for the Tempo Mage, which is turbo out the giants. They came down super soon, and they did get to connect for 16, but across 2 turns, Alan put together a way to deal with that board, and TIZS just did not have the ammo afterward. I don't know. Everything about that game would have ended up differently from me as the Tempo Mage player because my mulligan would have looked different.
Yeah, it's so hard to try and figure out in your head, you know, how does the different butterfly effect decisions change how the game would have looked at the end. I think, you know, credit to both of our players, though, here. It speaks to, I think, the diversity of play styles with Mage. That's kind of like the third approach that we've seen here from TIZS as opposed to the tempo version, the looking for apprentice version, hard mulliganing for that. I'm not sure if it was perfectly refined, but to be fair, maybe just going all in on the card draw is the way to go in the matchup. And it also speaks to, I think, the very strong technical play from Alan. He spotted the 2-turn sequence to clear the board. And he realized, even though he thought it was Counterspell, quite obviously, you have to just play as if it isn't, and he won because of exactly that.
Yep. I mean, honestly, if you're Alan, you're surprised that you're still in this series, and now with just a favored matchup to take the game, Corsair Cash in hand. It is such a reversal from what we were seeing just before Alan found out that the secret was not Counterspell.
And this for TIZS.
TIZZ's hand is
it's a good hand. It's a very good starting hand. Hello. And TIZZ doesn't need to be so devastated if he ends up losing it. The game, the season carries on for him if he goes down to 3-2. But man, when you have the chance to go up 4-1 and basically lock out the chance of relegation, you really want to take that spot.
That's true. Sorry for interrupting your spiel with an
Carry on.
But that's an additional evocation. TIZZ's Curve just plays itself AI into Coin Jandis, but then you've probably got an Apprentice or something to pay off of evocation with, and the pressure never stops. But for Alan, he just has weapons for days, and the Brawl is the big one, because that's his answer to the Jandis board.
Yeah, I agree. The Brawl is the kicker here to try and fight back, but for me, if it is, it's an interesting hand, because you have Evocation, right, which kind of incentivizes you to draw, because you want to hit Giant, you want to hit Apprentice, you kind of want to hit Cyclone as well, but it also kind of incentivizes you to just go Primordial Studies next turn, play out your hand, make room for the Evocation to go after the Coin Jandis. I'm really not sure how TIZZ should approach from here.
No, you bring up a strong point. The AI, you only really want to play that when you're digging towards something good to do without anything else to do. Yes. But his immediate follow-up turn is spoken for. And Alan here is going for the hero power instead of second Corsair Cash because he values the HP and he knows that he'll never need to play the second Wrench Caliber with the first one, Upgrade, and double Horde Pillagers. The downside, obviously, is that there's still a Wrench Caliber in the deck that he could potentially top deck when he doesn't want to.
Wow, okay. Again, another instance of differentiating.
Oh. Yo, what? He doesn't want to Coin Jandis?
What?
I'm shocked. Shocked.
Really? Like, he had Lab Partner there. Like, I think that Solarian was probably still the correct pick just because of how powerful Prime is. But
I agree.
Coin Solarian over Coin Jandis? I know that Brawl is the thing that you're afraid of, but give yourself the option, right?
Yeah, I'm not a fan. It does make Alan's life a bit more difficult now, though, because he obviously wants to Wrench Caliber this turn. You could just hit the Lab Partner and set up for Bladestorm the next turn.
True.
But he is taking a lot of damage in the meantime. Obviously, this board is not one that he wants to brawl.
Absolutely.
So I like the idea of setting up Bladestorm.
Is there any consideration to going Wrench Caliber and swing Face? That still sometimes sets up the Bladestorm. You can just swing into the minion next turn.
If there's another minion played next turn, though, it would make things a bit off. Oh, Bladestorm now. Okay, I mean, obviously, from the hero power on turn 3, you could see that Alan's mindset was try to stay alive as long as possible. He felt like he was being aggroed down. Now that he's seen the slow turn from TIZZ, I absolutely think it's time for Wrench Caliber to get equipped.
This is a turn, however, of no development whatsoever for TIZZ, given that he's now missed the Lab Partner here, which is exactly what Alan wanted to see. Now his own game plan starts to kick into gear. He's got the Wrench Caliber, he's got both the Horde Pillagers. This goes aggro as you please to try and kill the Mage in the next, few turns even.
Tons of swings to get through. And honestly, I don't think we'll even get to see the second Horde Pillager get to the board before the game ends. Oh my gosh, TIZZ's curve is insane. Vincent!
Pretty good here as well, just as a taunt to protect his other minions. It means that in a weird way, the Commando's pretty good here, just as 4 damage to swing Face every turn.
This board is getting brawled. Alan's had does one thing and one thing only, which is weapons. So I would like to clear the way for this weapon to hit base. In most instances, the Infiltrator dies.
Yeah. I'm not happy about it, but I'll do it. Sure.
TIZS does play Conj, so Alan is deviating a little bit to play around that. Oh my gosh. Are you just a prime gamer?
Oh
Yes,
my god, he doesn't even think, he just rips it! Oh!
Every spell that targets a minion targets his own prime!
The punish!
That's the downside!
The punish!
Yeah. I'm not a fan
Disaster!
of that! Why not giant? If you're gonna go for a minion that turn, I want a giant.
I agree, Gia. I agree.
Okay. Well, this is still in a fine spot. He has giants to follow up. I'm losing my breath.
Still, the giant play on this turn is looking pretty strong. Double giant is technically available if you want to go evocation. But obviously, you do need to be cautious about playing both giants onto a board when second Blade Storm, could just wipe you out of the game.
Very true. But if you're saying it has to be second Blade Storm, then there's some merit to it.
Yeah, it does mean you're throwing down an evocation though as well, which could get you some value obviously because you could play the spells that come off of that. But I think at this point in the game, you're more looking to play it for deep freeze or card draw or something more impactful than just cheapening your giant.
Honestly, I like that line because
really,
yeah, the punish for single giant is coerce, which there's still 2 copies for it, and the punish for double giant is Blade Storm, which there was only 1 copy left of at the time.
That's fair.
Alan actually doesn't want to coerce this. That's interesting, because he could have just gone like Horde Pillager after the swing into coerce.
I think I like it. I think the Blade Storm is more likely to be clunky at this point in the game. Like, there's many big and small minions in Mage, so you want to have guaranteed clear for the big boys, I think.
That's true. The Blade Storm is situational as a single target removal. Oh, TIZS is slowing down.
Really? Control? Okay, fair.
Yeah, I don't know. I wanted to go in the other
time. I don't really know what going in meant, but
yeah,
I wanted to go in.
Is he holding on to missiles for the Malagos? Because I would have ripped this earlier on just to cheapen the giants. I think that came off of a generation.
I agree.
Right now, TIZS has 4 bombs in the deck. I imagine we're going to see a 5th alongside this course. Oh, sorry, shield. Yeah, shield slam is playable this turn.
Use it while you can. It's just so clean every turn. Threat developed, threat dealt with, and the thing that breaks the equilibrium there is the bombs swinging face every single turn with Wrench Caliber, and they are not stopping anytime soon.
5 bombs in the deck. We saw 4 in a row from that Possessy game. Frostbolt, big deal.
Yeah, I guess you take the Frostbolt. I mean, I was looking at missiles because you could like try and find primordial studies off of evocation and then go like Malagos double missiles for a huge burst. But you're just clearing hand space at this point for evocation. It's the way to go.
Yeah. Okay, gets the Learn Draconic activation. It's a very big deal.
Big deal.
Oh, if he had Blade Storm, this would have been so clean. Obviously,
yeah, it would.
That's results-oriented thinking from me, but I mean, you still do the Kronk Sword and Board Coerce. I think you remove Raz rather than the 6/6.
I agree.
But it's close because Kronks and 6/6 line up.
If he's been keeping track, he knows a minion has been kept in hand that came off of the Primordial Studies, and you can't have a hard read on Malagos at all. But boy, would that be bad if it was Malagos.
Oh, yeah. Raz is just 6 damage AoE. I also just think outside of the spell damage minion, any freeze effect, every time I've left up Raz when I had the option not to, I've regretted it.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Here it comes.
Deep freeze! Deep freeze. That's the card. That's what you want.
Even even fits in a Tome of Intellect to fill out the mana. Dude, Alan can never attack face again. Oh, he's not using face.
Doesn't freeze
I
face.
thought it was trade and freeze face. But
playing
aggressive.
aggressive.
Counter lethal, okay.
Yeah, he's got Malagos missiles for the following turn as well. You know, the damage is stacking up.
Yeah. And Alan's turn is super awkward.
Yeah, it's Hero Power, Galakron,
Shield Slam,
but then one of them still
6/6?
survives.
Yeah,
You can go...
because you can't kill both, I figure you just remove the most damage from the board. Going
Right.
face and accept that's your last charge going face.
Sword
just...
and... You go Sword and Board, Hero Power,
Gala
Shield
first
Slam.
to see what minion you get, because you
Oh,
can
that's
still
fair.
Sword and Board Shield Slam. I don't know if any minion changes the equation though.
Oh, that Deep Freeze was so devastating.
Yeah. Are we in agreement that Galakron is always happening?
I think so. I was looking at like Sword and Board, Hero Power, Shield Slam, but it's not there. You can't clear them both off, importantly.
If his had 2 less HP, I would have advocated for Gala then Hero Power and go face.
Right.
But the Hero Power doesn't give him any more break points. Oh!
Whoa.
Barov Sword and Board next turn. Big
But
deal.
it's too big. It's too juicy. You can't kill Barov.
Oh yeah, you're right! Oh no! Come on, bruv.
He's too hench, Lord Bruv. Ooh, Primordial Studies to go with Malagos. I guess with only one missile, so you don't really need to. But it could be Malagos Cram Session next turn if you wanted to draw a million cards. That's actually a thing, I think, in this.
I think it's Cram Session now into Malagos.
Okay, fair.
So Kobold Cram Session.
Kobold over the Thalnos? That makes me think he might be going for the Malagos. Did he not want to draw that many cards? I guess the bombs.
I guess
the scary
yeah,
part.
the bombs. We forgot about the bombs.
Yeah.
That's why
Fair
I mean
enough.
he's not even playing the Kobold for the extra card draw here.
Limited draw here, extremely limited draw.
There's still 5 bombs in the deck for TIZS right now.
Whoa!
Roughly a third of his deck is bombs. Oh my god.
Fireball,
Another evocation and
a
fireball.
Hexes.
Alan is very dead if he can't kill off his bruv.
Whoa!
That's a clear.
He can Sword and Board his own guy?
Yeah, I think you do that. I would do that.
Too. It keeps attacking through freeze, I'm 90% sure as well.
Yes,
So
I've seen that interaction.
does full clear no matter what.
Cheeky play. Can't sword and board your other minion, so you just keep sword and boarding your own minion, because that's how Hearthstone works. Okay. And now TIZS has
He can just go
You've seen
Kobold,
this.
Fireball,
Oh!
Apexis Faced, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Very simple.
Oh no, he's setting up the Malagos! He wants to go for double spell next turn!
There's still 1 coerce in the deck.
It's risky! It's super risky, but it might work!
Yeah. I mean, the Kobold setup wasn't lethal,
Yes,
to be
it was
fair.
not.
So he's going for the big risk plays.
It's
And to
straight
be
up
fair, even if the
21 damage.
Malagos gets removed, he still has Kobold Apexis.
True.
But every turn that he delays, bombs in the deck. Alan needs 3 drawn. There are 5 in the deck right now.
Is there a shield block left in the deck for Alan? Or is
Yes,
he-
1 shield block.
He has to ping face here to have lethal against shield block, I believe. So, Ankar, does that guarantee a skipper at this point?
He has no pirates left in the deck.
No
He's
pirates.
not running skippers, except he's running Horde
Try
Considers.
to keep yourselves alive.
So he's
Oh,
just gonna
wow,
kill
you're
them
right.
Malagos
What?
here.
Loot? What more can I ask for?
The Anchor draws horde pillagers. That's Alan's list.
That's so weird.
It is weird.
Oh,
But
he has to
I
tank
think
the
this
4,
line
okay.
gets as long as he gets the boom.
Okay, okay.
6 bombs in deck. 6 bombs in deck. Oh.
Is it cold in here? Or is it just me?
Board.
Evocation.
Oh.
Didn't Fireball face first and then Evocation try to hit Brain Freeze / Ray of Frost for the other one? Because I feel like he's still sending some damage face one way or another.
Yeah.
Ice Barrier, though. Oh, okay.
Ice Barrier is okay, but it's not really dealing with the board.
Not. Just frozen it for now. Can you activate the boom?
Not yet. He can't kill Barov.
Yeah, he doesn't even play Skipper.
Yeah.
There's just no activations in the deck. There's a Brawl, 2 Evil Quartermaster, a Coerce. That's it. Board board upgrade, yeah.
So if it's not Ice Barrier, he can get his opponent down to
8?
5, correct?
Oh. Oh, with the Horde Pillager attack too?
Right, which he will probably try and go for, you'd have to imagine.
Yeah. You can fit in Shield Block, Sword and Board Hero Power. I don't think you care about TIZS board by this point.
Yeah.
Especially since he still has the 1 Brawl left in the deck.
I am unbreakable, but time is fleeting.
Hero Power. Oh, he's trading! Alan's scared of a 2-turn lethal setup, maybe? Off of a Pyroblast?
And now it means because of the attack to face for exactly 7, it's a 4-bomb lethal now instead of a 3, which is kind of something to consider. Both are unlikely, of course.
Yeah, it's something to consider. Okay, where Alan is at, obviously he's scared of big board development because he had not drawn the Brawl. It's in his bottom 3 cards. So I can respect it, but it feels very strange. There are 7 bombs in the deck at the moment.
Yep. 7 damage off lethal, as I count, potentially getting yourself up to 5 damage off lethal, I believe, if you trade the Spellwing and get perfect missiles. So it's not quite there. Not quite yet. A little bit extra needed from TIZS, and he's going to have to milk it out, probably just with damage from hand.
Yeah, I think you just cash in the Apectus now.
Ping face.
Mana flexibility.
Right.
Okay, yeah, you also have mana. Oh, wow.
What?
Okay.
Oh, okay, I guess he was just dying if he didn't clear it off.
True.
7
They're
plus 6.
just dying from so many different directions. I'm not sure which one to focus on.
It's so tough.
But the boom just can't be activated immediately because he doesn't play Skippers. So that must be what TIZS thinking is. If you kill the Barov, boom cannot go off. Oh! Valaki?
From nothing, power.
And then Brawl? But if you Brawl, you miss the hero
Some
power?
breath, no dragon.
If you miss the hero power, it's not a 2-bomb outer, it's a 3-bomb outer.
Oh my god. I think you just pick Molten Breath to shoot the 5/4 here, and then go face with your hero power, even if it doesn't gain you armor.
Yeah. That's very clean. I like that. Because when Alan played the Spell Lackey, I think he was not necessarily going to hero power. It looked like he was going to go for a Brawl to not take the 5.
Agreed, yeah.
So if that's the goal, then you just remove the 5/4 and fit in the hero power. Fit both. It's fun.
Yeah, there's not any specific breakpoints that you get by fitting in the upgrade as well. So I agree. You're getting your opponent down to the 2-bomb outer, shuffling more bombs into their deck. Oh my god.
It's more than half bombs right now.
Oh!
Sorry. No. It's a little less than half. 8 out of 17. 8 out of 17. What? Just dodges again! His deck is half bombs right now. 8 out of 16.
So you go Flame Strike? Hero Power Face?
Someday I'll be just like you.
Oh, yeah?
Uh-huh.
Might as well just fit in the Apprentice at that point.
Yep.
Alan, with the way he was playing, he definitely feels like there's a Pyroblast in TIZS.
Yeah. Some kind of big damage.
The other Coerce. All Coerce, Hero Power.
Oh my god! But this means he's not at the 2-bomb outer, he's at the 1. He's not at the 1, he's at the 2.
Yeah, you're right.
But he senses
does give
Pyroblast.
himself. He gives himself Wrench Caliber Hero Power just as straight up lethal without bombs the next turn.
That's true. That's true.
And he plays around Pyroblast.
Oh!
Okay, finally a bomb. Oh no! Oh my god! Wait. He doesn't have mana
Double
for
Frostbolt
second
missiles.
Fireball. Okay, that's the out. Fireball, but it's
Another fireball! Oh my
it's
god!
off.
Oh my god!
Does he
They're
ever?
both gonna end the game at 1 health.
Does he ever bluff barrier here? I don't know.
One thief?
One thief? Okay.
What can that get him? Barrier?
Barrier? And then you're still dead to bombs most of the time?
No!
He's just dead!
no.
I mean, you can still bluff barrier, but he didn't. So he is 100% dead.
You win this.
Oh my god, this game. Dark. What did we just watch?
I cannot Adam and Eve it here. It is such a brutal way for TIZS to go out. Such a long series, a grueling series. Started off 2-0, cleanly getting through against the Face Hunter with the Druid and the Priest. It was just the Mage that had to be full reverse swept by Alan. And surviving at 1 health point, he was able to get the job done. What a game from Alan, my goodness.
And while it was not a Pyroblast in hand, we have to note, Alan was playing very defensively towards the end game while still managing to fit in hero powers. We were somewhat criticizing him of missing the 3 versus 4 bomb threshold, things like that. But every single point of HP he saved was relevant there at the very end because there was still 1 evocation that was left unaccounted for. Oh my god, I cannot believe Alan pulled that off, but hats off to him. That was an awesome series.
Yeah, I just thought such a clean game. You know, seeing the sword and board his own guy for Deathwing, saving the